Hey guys, it's Dashon Walton here, and I wanted to take the time to make this video to clarify a few things, I guess, and also, I guess, cut a little bit of a shoot promo because over the last few months now, to be honest, this CAW thing, it really hasn't been as fun as it was before I dissed Shannon Silvera. I mean, the dissing Shannon Silvera was the last fun thing I did in this community. And now that I dissed him and he's gone, this has not been fun at all. Like, I'm not saying that I get pleasure out of making diss tracks about people, because let's be honest, it was fun making the song in Frisco's defense, but once I put it out and all the stuff happened between then and now, this community just stopped being fun. Hell, matter of fact, before the Silvera thing even came about, back in July, this CAW thing stopped being fun. And I've tried to put a fake smile on for the last 6 or 7 months now. Trying to put on a fake smile so that nobody could see, nobody could know the stuff that I'm feeling. But to be honest, for 6 months straight, I've tried to put on a fake smile whenever I see people arguing over whose character is better than whose, and all of this nonsense, petty arguing over who's stealing whose logos, who's doing this and that with this person's character on whatever show. Like the constant petty arguing as if you're in a real life wrestling promotion. For the last 6 months, I can tolerate certain levels of it, but for the last 3 months, it's been borderline asinine to argue over whose character or whose created wrestler is better than whose, as if you're in a real wrestling promotion. And for the last 6 months, I've had to wake up on Instagram and Twitter to arguments between people who I'm in the same CAW league with, UCW, and outsiders, between role players and simmers and all of that other stuff. And for 3 months straight, I've tried to honestly, I've contemplated like just quitting in more ways than one, because I felt like when I first started in the community as a participant, everything was going smoothly. No arguments were being held. No RP situations were happening. Then July rolled around and everything changed. July rolled around and things started happening that just honestly, for the last 6 months, I've questioned why I'm still in the community. And it wasn't until a couple of weeks ago that I realized that I loved the community so much that I hate it to the point where I can't quit. It's like I have a love-hate thing for this community. I love it because of all the crazy characters and all the storylines especially, because that's what drew me to this in the first place. But I hate it at the same time because people argue over the same petty nonsense and bull crap every day. Every day. It's an everyday thing. And at some point, y'all gotta know when to say when. Honestly, Black Heron and Cameron Bash were right. Some people take this call thing a little bit too serious, like a overboard level of serious. But the other person that was right in all of this is Ray Sifo, because he told me so himself when I asked if I could use his character for my show Salvation Lies Within a few weeks ago. I asked him, he said, yeah, sure, I don't care. You can use the character for as many shows as you want. Because people take this call thing far too serious. And it didn't hit me until about 2 weeks ago that I actually agree with him. People in UCW and other promotions that I'm currently in are gonna want to hate me for it, but it's the truth. Role players tend to take this far too serious. And it's only a select few that take it far too serious. Now, personally, I don't have nothing against role players. And honestly, if I would have known what role playing consisted of and how role playing worked in the first place, honestly, I don't even know if I would have joined the community as a participant to begin with. And you know what, to be honest, for the last few days now, I've been contemplating quitting the community altogether. And there's a lot of people on Twitter and Instagram that are telling me, no, stay this, stay that. Believe me, guys, I want to stay. I want to stay. I want to put out my own show. I want to be on everybody else's show. I want to be in Valor, FAM, all these other promotions. Hell, I want people to come on my show just to help me get elevated to the next level. And so that way I can help elevate them to the next level, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, I gotta know when to say when. Which brings me to my final point. Currently in UCW, I'm in the middle of a storyline involving myself, Sphinx, and TJR. And presumably at UCW Civil War, I'm either going to be in a handicap match where I have to fight them by myself, or I'm going to be in a tag team match against them with somebody as my partner. And it may sound ridiculous, but Chris Love is the first person that I asked to be my partner. Yes, I had other people in mind, Shannon Silvera included, but honestly, even if I decide that I do want to be a part of Civil War and take a break after, I know for a fact that if I take a break from CAW after UCW Civil War to deal with all of my in real life stuff, I know that there's a chance that I'm gonna come back to the same old petty ass arguing over the same old BS every day. Like, I seriously do not like having to wake up to petty nonsense and petty BS every single day. Because then I end up getting in the middle of it, and then me and my girlfriend end up arguing about it. And it's slowly getting me to the point where, honestly, more often than not, I don't be wanting to speak to nobody about no subjects about wrestling, period. And when I say that, I mean exactly that. Especially talking to my girlfriend, and I know you're gonna watch this. When I say I don't want to talk anything wrestling or gaming related, that's exactly what I mean. If I don't want to talk about wrestling, I won't talk about wrestling. And if I'm talking about it with another person, let that be that. And then so on and so forth will happen. And that's it. Now, I know that I put out a quote unquote War Among Us theme song. And Jen was right. It did diss a set group of people. But in my heart, I felt I was being honest. And lately, honesty hasn't been my forte, but I've been trying to be honest. So I will do one more War Among Us song. I'll get to writing as soon as possible. And then I'll send it to Jen, see what she thinks. If it's a good one, it'll get used for the show. And I'll perform it there. And then UCW Civil War will come. I'll wrestle there. And then after that, I'll take a break and then come back after I deal with all my real life stuff. But again, people, the WWE Games is just that, a game. There's no reason to take it seriously as if you're part of an actual wrestling promotion. I ain't taking shots at nobody because in the community, there's a couple of relationships, in real life relationships that have happened through CAW, and that's Black Heron and Eve, and Andy Jaden and Nick Virtue. Those kinds of relationships in this community, I'm not knocking and I'm not hating on. Love is love. That's the way they got their love on. Good for them. I'm proud of them. But what everybody else has to understand is that RPing in relationships, all of that, you got to realize that it takes a toll on not just your own mental psyche, but everybody else's. And it gets to a point where sometimes I wake up, I get on social media, see the shit over and over, people throwing their RP parenting and being a son or daughter to somebody, being thrown into somebody's face. Honestly, it gets to be a little bit much. And I don't mean no disrespect. If I'm coming off disrespectful, I apologize. But more often than not, it comes off to be a little bit too much. People tend to take this CAW thing far too seriously. Which is why sometimes I don't even be wanting to play WWE. But I do it just to pass the time. I do it because wrestling is what I've loved since I was 3 years old. Gaming is what I've loved since I was 4 or 5 years old. And I don't want to have to hate the one thing I've loved since I was a little boy due to everybody else's constant bickering and arguing over petty nonsense. It gets to a point where I don't know how much longer I'm going to last in this community if I stay around all of the constant bickering and arguing. Like, if it's playful arguing, I get that. fine. If it's playful arguing, whatever. But if it gets to a point where it becomes a shoot argument, where it becomes arguing over this and that, and who's this and that and the third, it gets to a point where it's too much to handle. And now I see why Nick Virtue left. I see why Shannon Silvera left. I see why now Ray Sifo left. Because this community is becoming a bit too much. Not just for them, but for me. And I'm a rookie in this community as a participant. I haven't even been here for less than a year. Those guys have been here for 7, 8, close to 9 years. Close to 9 years those guys have been around. And they left because this community became too much for them to handle. Like mentally, it became too much. Now, presumably, Virtue is coming back. I don't know for sure. It's only mere speculation, but it's possible that he'll return. Silvera, highly unlikely. Sifo, possible. As for me, I don't know. I honestly do not know whether or not if I'm going to come back after UCW Civil War. I do know that I will put out another song for War Among Us. I do know that I'm going to put out an episode of my own call show, like the very first episodic episode, or whatever the hell it's supposed to be called, of my own show, Ring of Valiance, soon. Maybe within the next day or so. If not, then I'll let everybody know. But as far as coming back to the community after UCW Civil War, I have to give it some serious thought because I have real life things that I gotta handle. I gotta find work, make money, keep a roof over my head. Normal real life things. Like, you guys know how it goes. You know how situations like mine work. And honestly, I've been needing to focus on that for months. But the reason why I haven't is because I wanted to make the community proud of me. But when I leave, if I come back and I'm not proud of what I see, I most likely will leave and not come back. Because right now, in this community with all the constant bickering and arguing over petty, asinine nonsense, I'm not proud of what I'm seeing. I'm not happy with what I'm seeing. All the back and forth, the flip-floppiness, the name calling, the corny ass name calling, and most recently, people calling me a quote unquote kiss ass because I pay respect to the predecessors in FAM that came before me. You can call me a kiss ass all you want, but the bottom line is I'm simply paying respect to those who came before me. Because I guarantee you, the same people that calls me a kiss ass, the same people that are calling me a jobber, are the very same people who are either applying to get into FAM or they're going to get into FAM anyways due to their superb editing skills. And while that's all well and good, you can't call me a kiss ass if you're doing the things that's necessary to get noticed by them. Me, I don't have to kiss ass, nor would I want to. All I'm doing is paying respect to those who came before me. That's all I'm doing. So again, if I leave temporarily after Civil War and I come back and I see the same shit happening, I most likely will leave the community and not return. Whether it be for an extended period of time or whether it be for good, I will leave the community for good and not come back if I come back after this little break that I'm going to take and am not proud of what I see. So guys, for those who supported me due to the fact that I was in UCW, I thank you. For those who supported me due to the fact that I made a diss track about Shannon Silvera and made a few other songs after that weren't about him, I thank you for the support as well with that. As far as everybody else goes, you keep doing your thing. Keep on rocking shows. Keep on making great shows. And UCW, yes, I'm talking to you at the end of this little promo that I'm doing. I started with you guys. Everything was great when I started. Here we are almost a year later, and you're dissing FAM, but at the same time, you're trying to get into FAM, but at the same time, you're dissing them, but at the same time, you're helping them with t-shirt designs. Now, I don't know what they call that where you guys are from, but where I'm from, we call that being a little bit suspicious. Now, if that gets me in trouble with the UCW higher-ups for being honest, so be it. I've been getting in trouble my whole goddamn life. Luckily, it wasn't legally, but I've been getting in trouble my whole life. So if I get in trouble with UCW higher-ups, it really wouldn't be anything new. So just stay focused on your own show. Stop worrying about everybody else's show. Make your show great. And in the meantime, pay homage to the predecessors. Pay respect to the predecessors that came before you. Because without them, you would not be here. I would not be here. None of us would be here if it weren't for the predecessors that came before us. So think about that long and hard. Think about that. Because it's going to come a time where they won't be around no more. And it's going to come a time where you're going to be like, well, now what do we do? We're the top dogs and all of this and that. And we don't have anybody to talk crap about except for the people that came before us. You guys really need to think about some of the stuff that you say to these predecessors, because God forbid their business stops, then what? You won't have an answer for it then. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. I ain't got nothing but love and respect for everybody. And whatever beefs I may have had in this community that I didn't know about, I got no problems. I don't want no problems. I don't got no problems. After UCW Civil War, I will take a break. But if I come back from that little break and I don't like what I'm seeing on Instagram and Twitter as far as arguments go, I'm going to take an extended or possible permanent break and not return until things change. Because like Owen Hart said, enough is enough and it's time for a change. So again, guys, thank you. Much love, peace and love, peace and a bottle of hair grease and all that good stuff. I'll see you later.